All right, I guess let's get going. Dude, we're basically just doing, like, swapping here every single week. It's always a new person.
Special viewer episode.
Yeah.
One viewer.
Okay, welcome to episode 38 of We Can't Code, So We Criticize. This is a weekly video game podcast between apparently just a bunch of people now, where we share relatively biased opinions on our favorite games. I'm reading from a script this first part, because I can never remember this. My name is Ben.
I'm Sam. Hello.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you all. Nice to meet me.
In case you ever felt like getting, familiar with the podcast, it's never going to happen because we're just going to be swapping out people all the time, apparently. Is it Mike? Is it Cole? Is it Sam? Is it Donald Duck? It doesn't matter.
Love Donald Duck.
10 out of 10. Also, we're doing this on a Friday night, so I'm drinking a solid Miller Lite. I've got like 2 on reserve as well, so we'll see how the conversation goes. Are you drinking anything, Sam?
I'm drinking a mango White Claw, and I have a couple of Natter Days on the side.
You're drinking the alcoholic seltzer water?
Dude, it's delicious.
It doesn't sound delicious. It sounds like
Have you ever tried it?
No, someone described it to me as what basic bitches drink.
Yeah, I am the basic-ist of bitch, and it is delicious.
Singular. All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, it is Friday. Who knows? Maybe I'll go out to a bar afterwards and order myself a solid seltzer. Or not. Or I'll just talk about games, recording or not recording.
Something's happening.
Absolutely. All right. So, Sam, since you're new, I was going to ask you how your week was, but if you'd like, I can go first and kind of do a stupid, ask myself the question.
I'll interview you.
All right. It doesn't have to be an interview, but yeah, sure. Go for it.
How was your week?
It was good. Well, it was all right. I started playing Spider-Man for PS4.
How's that going?
It's awesome, actually. What do you want? I haven't even said anything. I said it was good. Why are you laughing? Don't know.
There's a lot of dead air going on today.
I said, why? What's so funny about Spider-Man? You were laughing about it. Got a problem with Spider-Man?
I watched my roommate play Spider-Man, and it looked okay.
What? It's actually decent. I like it a lot.
The swinging portion of the game looked really fun, but the combat looked dumb.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. So the swinging is the best part, and the story is kind of so-so, but I mean at least it has progress. I kind of care to see what's going on, and it's still that's enough. It's more I could say for the last few games I played.
Yeah, the Kingdom Hearts 3.
Let's not even get into that. Yeah,
nah,
combat's basic though, man. So you were onto something. Basically, it's I consider this always Assassin's Creed style or Batman style, where it's just dodge and punch, and then that's basically it. But it is really fun to obviously the maps are way vertical in the game, so it's really fun to just throw people off the side of a building, and it's Marvel Universe, and it's funny to see Spider-Man drop someone from 200 yards into the sky or whatever.
He's gonna be all right. He's not gonna die. There's a magic trampoline at the bottom of every building when you throw them off.
Just gonna sprain his ankle. No, what they do, I noticed this when I took care of some guys, and then you have to swing away. You're at construction sites, so that's how they can have you fighting on all these intricate, open to the world type of areas. Is their construction sites? Nice. And
I wanted to make sure that was real close to the mic.
But so as I was swinging away from this construction site, you can see that as they're falling, they're actually webbed to the side of the building. So that's their safe way.
Cop out.
Yeah, it's like when COD had that one game where they decided to not show blood, or maybe they're still not showing blood, but you're shooting someone with a gun, and it's not not having blood makes a difference. It's oh, he's perfectly okay because there's no blood. It's clearly that guy got beat the fuck up by Spider-Man, and Spider-Man threw him off the side of a building. It's not like that guy's gonna walk home and with a tune in his step.
I got a bad sprained ankle, but I'll make it to work tomorrow.
I'm gonna make it to crime industry tomorrow.
Crime industry, crime inc.
They always use very basic terms as well. They never say methamphetamine or like cocaine or something. They're like, these are illicit drugs. Oh no.
Hello, Mr. Spider-Man. Do you have a marijuana cigarette I could borrow?
Why, I have an oregano cigarette. So it's kind of funny how they can talk about like big boy things, but they really can't talk about big boy things. It's this weird fucking line that they walk, and it's so clearly censored on a lot of things. I mean, they'll just be like, they were moving drugs out of here, and like then they'll just leave it at that. And they're like, oh well, the police will take care of that, and then like that's the end of
That's
it.
not Spider-Man's business.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Spider-Man smokes a little green on the weekends. You know, he doesn't care about a little drugs around town.
Hell yeah.
Police's business.
Exactly. I can do whatever a spider can when I'm on cocaine.
How do you think I'm flinging from walls? Where do you think the webs come from?
What do you think
Straight
the web
cocaine.
is made out of? Just cocaine.
Crystallized cocaine, straight from the bloodstream.
Yeah. But it's interesting. So there's a little variety. There's a bit more variety than I would have expected, though. So the combat... I'm trying to think of a game that's similar. There used to be a game called Prototype for PS3 back in the day. And,
Yeah, I played Prototype.
Yeah, and I think... Like, basically, they introduce you to some basic enemies, and then the enemies will, like, sometimes have a higher defense, or they'll have, like, they can, like, break your block or whatever. And that's kind of what they're doing here. So sometimes, to beat an enemy, you have to dodge and get behind them. Some enemies, they have guns, and you can web the gun and get it out of their hands. Some enemies, they are like a fucking train, and you have to web them up so they're, like, stuck in place, so then you can beat them up. So... honestly, I do really like the game. I don't mean to be shitting on it too much. I would say first impressions for the last, like, 7 or so hours I've been playing it, I'd actually rate it at least, like, an 8. An 8 out of 10. I think that the web swinging is... and the exploration is some of the best parts of the game.
I mean, especially for... what'd you get it for, $20? I mean, 8 out of 10 game for $20, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it was... I got, like, a ton of games for 15 or 20, so it was at most $20. And it's the DLC special edition version, like, my...
Game of the year?
My Spider-Man was wearing a paper bag over his head for a while, because it gives you all this stupid cosmetic shit. So there's, like, a scene where, like, he's talking to, Mary Jane, you know, as another obvious drug reference, by the way.
That's not a drug reference. It's just her name, okay? Leave her alone.
Some could say I'm dating Mary Jane. No, but... so, he's talking to her, and they're, like, getting all intimate, and he's wearing a bag over his head the whole time. Like, I haven't played a game where you can really appreciate the cosmetics in a while, because now it's all, like, locked behind, you know, paid... microtransactions and shit, so I have actually been really enjoying all the costumes in Spider-Man.
Yeah, it sounds like it's cool that you don't have to pay for them. It's like the old exploration games where you just have to find like feathers or whatever and you unlock the suits.
Yep, you in Spider-Man you look for the feathers.
Something you look for, I don't know.
No, I get you. As you progress, you get costumes. So for a while I had the paper bag one, and then now I've got punk rock Spider-Man, and they all come with kind of like a silly move. And so this one, he kind of like does an air guitar jump up in the air and like boom, and it sends out a shockwave. It's so dumb, but I love it because all the guys go flying backwards. And when you're in a very frequent on the roof kind of scenario, everyone just flies off the building. It's so funny.
You're just air guitaring people to death.
Basically.
Or to life, I suppose. To sprained ankles.
To sprained ankles. They get beat the fuck up by Spider-Man, they get thrown off of a skyscraper, and they wake up with the equivalent of, like, a rough hangover the next day, and they're like, oh man, I gotta stop getting in fights with superheroes.
Those guys will mess you up.
Next weekend, I'm going cold turkey on this one.
I gotta tell my crime syndicate boss I'm not moving his illicit drugs anymore.
your nameless brand of drugs.
Off-brand meth.
Your cocaine weedawana, whatever you want to call it. So, no, it's really good. There are some things to laugh about, but I'm really enjoying it. The other thing that I've been playing, and there's not really much to say here, but Minecraft Earth is a free app on your phone that are trying to do the cash grab that Pokemon Go did 2 or 3 years ago. And
How does that even work?
yeah, I keep asking. I've been playing it for like 3 hours, and I ask myself the same questions. I don't see it working. But basically, the gist that I can understand is, as you walk around, there's things that you can click on, basically like Pokemon, but some are like animals from Minecraft, some are...
Minecraftimons.
Exactly.
Pigs and Endermen and the blaze spider rods, whatever those people are called.
Exactly. No, but they're like farm animals, like the passive. They're not like zombies or anything. So you click on them.
Ooh, name drop.
What's that?
Name drop.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Zombies. Spoilers. Future spoilers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what we're doing this week. This is like a surprise podcast, by the way. For anyone listening in from last week, we're not doing top 5 games of 2019 yet. With Sam being here, we decided to do top 5 zombie games of, I guess, ever. So top 5 zombie games. Period.
Period. Exclamation point, even.
Anyone can look at this list from once it's uploaded to the web to the internets to the end of time, and they'll know those are the best zombie games.
Period.
So that period.
Yep.
Close the fucking book.
If you want to play between 10 to 5 different zombie games, here's your choices.
Yeah.
Fellow human beings.
You got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games.
It's possible we have all 5 of the same games. Like, I didn't go over my list with you beforehand, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Maybe.
Has that ever happened? What's the most crossover you've ever had in the podcast? Do you know that off the top of your head?
No, but Mike and I got pretty frequent sometimes for best co-op games, or I think we did best controllers once, and that one had like
there's not that many options for best controllers.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like
best controller all time, unreleased PS3 boomerang controller. Fight me.
The boomerang controller.
Do you remember that thing?
Australian edition. I don't remember.
You'll have to look it up. It's wild.
Okay. It sounds like some YouTube spoof video or something.
It's possible. It's not even real. I don't know.
Unreleased. So anyway, just to quickly summarize Minecraft Earth, there's things that pop up on the map. Some are animals. On topic. There's your first official tangent, Sam. How does it feel?
Feels good. I want to make a quick shout out to my boy Mike and the tangents and callouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rest in peace. He will be missed.
Rip in peace.
Sad that he's dead, but you know what are you gonna do? You gotta move on.
He's basically dead. He's dead to me, so there you go.
Dead to me too.
Mm-hmm. No, when you quit the podcast, you quit life. Sam, you're next. There's the graveyards coming for you.
Dude, I'm just a special guest. Probably.
You got 1 foot in the grave. There you go.
Always.
Okay, second tangent of the time. Minecraft Earth, back to it one more time. Basically, there's the GPS world that you look at is populated with resources that, if there's a tree, you click on the tree, and it turns into wood, and then like maybe some branches and other bullshit from the game. And you do this with everything. If there's like a makeshift mountain, you click on or like a hill of blocks, you click on the blocks, and it breaks into like cobblestone and regular stone and other bullshit. And then you have a little like plot that is tied to your phone. It's not physically in the world or anything. And from what I'd heard is that you can eventually like add it permanently to the world. I don't know. I don't know why I'm going too much into detail. Honestly, the game's really dumb.
So if you're looking at, like, say, the grass on the ground, is it grass? And if you look at a tree, is it a tree? Or is it just random blocks?
It's like random. Like I said, how Pokemon just randomly show up in Pogo. It's basically that. Like, it's not like if there's a rancher that you're going to have a bunch of cows over there that you can click on. But that would be cool.
Like the blocks themselves. Like, if you're looking at grass on the ground, are those grass blocks? If you're looking at a brick building, is it bricks in Minecraft World Live game?
It doesn't show any buildings or anything. They like
it's
the trees.
Just the farm animals.
Yeah, so like how
okay.
Pokemon Go doesn't even show real buildings; it just shows streets, and that's it. That's basically Minecraft Earth. like any trees, any like hills or anything. It's just a couple blocks put together, and it's a clickable. And then once you click and break it down, then it disappears. So it's like a Pokemon animal that once you click on it and capture it, then it's gone from the map. It's basically the same thing, but with like the environment, if that makes sense.
Sounds dumb.
Yeah, I thought it would be more
let's
interesting.
move on.
So that's it. I haven't watched any movies. I haven't done anything else other than Spider-Man and Minecraft Earth, and I'm probably going to uninstall Minecraft Earth pretty soon. Sam, how was your week?
My week was typical, just doing the working and stuff. As far as video games and movies and entertainment goes, I watched Hercules recently, like yesterday or 2 days ago, something like that.
What Hercules? Like the Disney Hercules, or like the Xena live-action Hercules in the 90s, or?
The 80s animated one, I think. I don't know if it was 80s, but...
From Disney, or?
Yeah, the Disney one.
Yeah, that wasn't 80s. That was I think that was even like 2000 or so. No, it wasn't 2000. It was in the 90s though.
Yeah, the 90s one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got Disney Plus when it came out, basically. If you have Verizon, they bought you like a year of Disney Plus. So I've been watching tons of Disney Plus stuff.
This week's
since it came
sponsor.
out. Not Disney Plus or Verizon Wireless.
You don't like it?
No, it's great. But they aren't giving you any money, and so therefore we're not making any money by doing this.
Oh, that's right. So until we decide to we'll only start sponsoring them and talking good about them once they pay us money. But until then, we'll just talk shit about their products.
Yeah, mad shit about it. Whatever they're doing. Verizon, you suck. Like my phone never has connection. I'm in my house. I want to call and text. I'm a busy guy.
Donde está la conexión en mi casa? Senor.
Si, senor.
Exactly. See, we're here in England. We're here in
England.
Mexico. We're here in North America. No one's getting connection anywhere.
Nobody knows where we are.
Exactly. We might be in England. Cheerio.
Cheerio, chaps.
Yep.
Bloody hell, mates.
Constable.
The Queen of England.
God bless the Queen. God save the Queen.
Yeah, she's alright.
Oh, I was talking about the band.
Yeah, they're alright too, I guess. So back to Disney Plus. It's pretty good if you like Disney stuff. I'm pretty sure I've watched every Pixar movie.
Disney
almost
Plus
every.
is pretty good if you like Disney stuff. Well, okay.
Well, if you're not really into animated Disney stuff, I don't think it's going to be the platform for you, because that's pretty much all they got.
I mean, that makes sense.
Pixar, Disney, some of their live action stuff.
So run me through it really quickly. Let's say, what's something that just came out? Let's say the live action Aladdin. Is that on Disney Plus right now?
It is not.
Okay. How recent are the movies?
I don't watch Marvel movies, but I think they just got the most recent Avenger movie.
That was like a year ago.
They have the live action. I don't know if they. I don't know how recent it is, but not very recent. If you're looking like 2000s and backwards, it's probably on there. If you're looking anything more recent than that, like the Star Wars movies, I just watched all the Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. The most recent one is the first of the new trilogy, The Force Awakens, I believe is what it's called.
All right.
They don't have the second one that's already been released, and they don't have the Han Solo movie.
Well, I mean, honestly, that doesn't sound like the biggest loss to me.
Yeah, no, not a good movie, but, if you're going to try to watch all the movies.
Ever since Disney bought Star Wars, I think the only one that I've really enjoyed was Rogue One.
Rogue One is good, and that is on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I watched movie-wise this last week.
Mm-hmm.
I am watching CS Summit 5 this weekend. It started yesterday.
What is that?
So this is a Counter-Strike tournament.
Okay.
This is the 5th one, obviously. That's why it's called 5. But it's like the chillest tournament of all time. They rent a house in LA, and I don't know how many teams are there right now. It's like 8 teams show up, and they just have LAN tournaments where each team gets a room and they play each other. All the casters are really laid back. They're allowed to swear on the broadcast, which is not typical for these esports events. It's just teams playing, having fun. Basically, it's sort of like an off-season tournament.
Are they like pretty notable teams, or are they just like some ragtag group of dudes that started this
No,
thing?
they get the top teams. It's not all of the top teams, but they have. Let's see, Mouse Sports is there, and they won the most recent tournament before this.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of the top teams show up. Out of the top 10, there's 2 or 3 teams there in the top 10. Out of the top 20, I think they're probably all top 20 teams.
Okay. So from how you were describing it, I remember I was reading something about a Reddit versus 4chan CS:GO tournament that took place maybe like 6 years ago or something, and it was described as the Vietnam War, where Reddit had like done some like polling and like entry methods for like people that wanted to join, and so like they were America and 4chan like came together and they were like, yeah, you're good, just first 5 people to respond, they'll be on the team. And so and then like after like 2 weeks of scrimmages and whatever, I guess 4chan just steamrolled them, and Reddit was supposed to have like all these strategies and everything, and 4chan was just like, we all trust each other, we're good, you do this, I'll do that, whatever, and they just destroyed them.
If you click on their heads, you win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple. Who needs strategies if you can click on their heads?
Exactly. But yeah, there was some great pictures online, I remember, just like, from Vietnam, like people sitting in trees, and it was just like, the mighty 4chan or something, and then like scenes from like Apocalypse Now or something. It was pretty funny. All right, so
Summit's it's a really good organization, and I really like their tournaments because it's just super laid back. The casters are like barely talking about the games; they're just telling life stories and making up fun shit to talk about for the games. They can actually a lot of the times when you're watching esports and like it's obvious that a team's gonna win or a team's gonna lose, they try to like pump up the underdogs or whatever. But in this team, they're just like, oh, they're fucked in this situation. There's no chance they can win this round. So it's more honest in that sense.
Yeah.
And it just feels like a real laid back atmosphere. Everybody's having fun, and a bunch of friends coming together and playing video games. It's enjoyable.
That's pretty cool, though.
If you're looking to get into Counter-Strike esports, I would recommend to watch this first.
Honestly, I would really hope that there starts more amateur level esports tournaments, because that's honestly what would be the most fun to watch on Twitch. I love seeing when something looks like really ragtag and thrown together. I mean, those are the kinds of competitions I like. When, from basically what exactly you're describing, it sounds like the CS:GO portion of it is really interesting, but just the fact that this came together and it sounds like a nice, like, tight group of guys, I mean, that's probably the reason I would watch it, is just because, I mean, it sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it's a blast to watch, and it's really fun to listen to all the stories, but I think the best thing, to your point, is it's not an amateur tournament. It's, all of the teams there are really good, in the top 20 in the world teams, so that makes it better, in my opinion, than having a bunch of no-name teams show up and doing this tournament, is that they're actually all really good Counter-Strike players and teams.
Sure, I apologize. More, I didn't necessarily mean amateur tournament. I should probably say amateur production.
Yeah, that's a better... Yeah, I mean, they're having some technical issues, fairly typical for these kind of things, but it's been running along fairly smoothly.
All right. Trying to think, is there... Man, we're like flying through this.
No 2-hour podcast. They're too long.
Straight to business. All right, I'm trying to think of
Get it
anything
done.
else I could possibly talk about before we get into the top 5, and I'm like drawing a blank here. I was thinking about seeing Mr. Rogers' movie in the last week. I was thinking about seeing... there was something else that came out recently. Not Frozen 2, but...
I watched Frozen 2.
How was it? I feel like that's a loaded question. How was it?
This might surprise you, but I liked it.
Did you like the first one?
I did like the first one.
All right.
It's obviously not as good as the first one, and I think I went with my mom and my little sister, and I think I liked it more than they did, which is a bit surprising.
Were you singing the songs?
There's some good songs in there, It's just like a simple story, good, wholesome fun for the family.
All right.
There was one scene in particular that I So we went to the movie theater, and there was obviously a bunch of little kids there, and there's this scene in the movie where Olaf is the snowman. If you don't know who that is,
Who?
is just
No,
the little snowman. Uh, he's like the wind is messing with him, and like the trees are stealing his carrot nose, and he's like flopping around. He's like, "Oh no, what are you guys doing? I'm gonna grow up one day and be big and strong." And I was like, "Oh god, this is so dumb." But then you look around the theater, and all these little kids are like laughing and just like having an absolute ball with Olaf getting messed with by the forest. And it just it made me realize, Disney movies aren't for people our age, but there is stuff that anyone can enjoy in a Disney movie.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, obviously, we're probably not their main demographic, being late 20s at this point, or mid 20s, or whatever.
Old men.
Basically die.
Can't wait.
Can't wait, just counting the days down. Yeah. So, no, I mean, I can appreciate that. I'm not going to say that... I've always only said that I don't like the movies, but in terms of, I mean, once again, to bring up, like, the production of that movie, they said that they spent months trying to figure out how just to get the snow animations correct for the first one, and I mean, obviously there's a lot of tender and care put into to everything about it. The plot, I'm sure, is simplified, but not overly predictable, I would guess. Maybe it is, but...
Oh, it's fairly predictable. Yeah, definitely. You can tell what's going to happen fairly soon. I mean, there's a couple twists, like a couple things I didn't expect to happen that did happen. But, from the start to the end, you can kind of tell what's going to happen.
Does
In my
friendship
opinion,
win?
friendship always wins.
Does it snow?
Just like in real life. It does snow, but they don't let it snow, which I think is important.
Okay. Is there a lot of, like, lady love in it, like in the first one? That sounded weird. Not the X-rated version of the movie.
Yeah, you're going to have to go to some other websites to find some Frozen 2 lady love.
All right, I'll just type it in. Lady love.
You'll find stuff. Yeah, you'll definitely find stuff.
Probably.
There's this scene where I think it's Elsa is like the main ice princess, and she's trying to go across the ocean, and she's making ice platforms in front of her feet as she runs across the ocean. And the animation in that scene is amazing. It looks so good.
All right. Well, can't knock anyone for enjoying animation, so we'll see. There was a similar scene in Kingdom Hearts 3. Let me tell you about that. No.
Yeah, I want to hear about it.
Okay, well, it started out...
I don't want to hear about it. I'm joking.
Good.
As far as other things for me to discuss this week, I watched all the Star Wars movies that are on Disney Plus, and then got into kind of a Star Wars itch. So I started playing The Force Unleashed, because I own that game on Steam for some reason. And it is okay. It's that late 2000s, kind of terrible looking at this point.
Well, I heard it was
not very
a decent
fun.
game, but everyone was saying that it was too short. That was the big concern, or the big criticism I had always heard.
I haven't gotten all that far into it, and I've never played it before, so I don't know if it's short or not, but it's really fun to just be running around with a lightsaber, force pushing stormtroopers off of ledges and stuff.
Yeah.
The Force is really fun in that game. You can pick people up and throw them around. That's the most enjoyable for me so far.
Shit,
I'm not really into stories or anything, but picking up stormtroopers and throwing them around, always a good time.
It sounds like you and I are basically playing the same game, I'm Spider-Man, I'm throwing people off roofs and using my web force power. Basically the same thing. I mean, you're doing the same shit, too.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same game. If you break it real down.
Yeah, if anything, I mean, maybe I'm the first person to say this, but I would say Spider-Man... Or, I'm sorry, I would say that Star Wars is ripped from Spider-Man. The story, basically identical. I mean, I just see so many parallels now.
I mean, Star Wars itself is just the hero's journey broken down. Not at all. It's just point A, point B, hero's journey.
Yeah, and Spider-Man is so much more. Correct. I agree with you.
You could be right. You could be wrong. I don't know anything about Spider-Man, so I can't argue this point with you today.
Well, luckily for you, there is a song. It's the theme song. It breaks down everything about
Spider-Man. Spider-Man does whatever a Spider-Man does. That one?
You got I think 2 of the words right, and they were just Spider-Man and Spider-Man.
I'm shooting 2 out of 2. Perfect.
So, all right. Well, we'll have to rendezvous next week and rediscuss how both of our Star Wars Spider-Man games are going.
All right, we'll do.
So then, along with that, before once again, I've got one other question here. You're talking Star Wars games in general. Are you planning on playing any other games other than Unleashed? I know that there's a sequel, but there's also like Knights of the Old Republic. I mean, I've never touched any of those really. Have you considered any of those?
I was gonna let me just look on Steam really quick, but I own a bunch of Star Wars games on Steam. I assume it was some Humble Bundle at some point. I was looking at the Jedi Knight games to play after this. I also have the second Knights Unleashed game.
And Fallen Order just came out, and people were giving it stellar reviews too.
Yeah, that's sort of what got me in the mood to play Star Wars games, was watching the movies and that game coming out. So I might play some other ones if I finish Force Unleashed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Honestly, I would love to hear what your thoughts about Knights of the Old Republic is, because everyone talks about it constantly, and I've never played it. And at this point, I feel like maybe it's too old, but it might still have some decency to it. I mean, it sounds like people will just praise that game nonstop, and so at this point, it's hard to trust what diehard KOTOR fans will say about the series over and over again. But if you play in the next few months, like, I'd love to actually hear a legitimate, like, does it stand up for, in the last 20 years that it came out, or is it just, too old at this point or something?
Yeah, I've never played it before. I'll try to give it a go at some point soon.
Sure. Do you actually own it, or is it something that you would have to pick up?
No, I've got it on Steam already.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah, let me know.
Oh, yeah, I'll give it a go.
All right, I said all my stuff. I've seen no movies, no nothing. I haven't read any books or anything. I can't think of any other media that I have indulged in. I went to a concert yesterday, and that's about it. But, I mean, that was it.
Who did you see? Your Snapchat was very cryptic.
Oh, yeah. So I had a few beers, and I didn't feel like typing a lot. So I went to go see the Flatliners. They're a Canadian punk rock band. And then also the Lawrence Arms, who's a Chicago band. So I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast, but I'm currently in Illinois, in Chicago, and so they're a local band, and there's just a huge crowd for them here. It was super cool whenever a band plays its local city, because people just go fucking crazy. Personally, I came for the Flatliners, who are out-of-towners, but just seeing how excited everyone was for the Lawrence Arms, I mean, they're a band I've always heard about, and sitting through a concert and watching them, I ended up picking a CD out from their merch guy. It was a blast, though. I had a great time.
Yeah, you showed me the Flatliners. I listened to a couple of their songs. It's a good band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So honestly, that is the extent of my week. Is Spider-Man, a little bit of Minecraft Earth, and then this concert. Otherwise, just stupid, dumb adult work.
Right? It sucks.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Dead air.
Dead air. Lots of dead air today.
It's all good.
I'm new at this. Don't hate me myself when I listen to this later.
No, I'm kind of I'm thinking when it is quieter, I'm thinking to myself like, this would be a time Mike would probably be talking for another 30 minutes during this moment. Typically,
he'd be raging about movie theaters.
Goddamn fucking
hate them.
Theaters.
Can't stand them.
Mike's obsession with hating movie theaters is long and vast and complicated. He has worked at a movie theater in the past. He has had terrible experiences at movie theaters. I mean, it's just, I feel like it's like a mine, just a mine buried under the floor. Like, if you mention movies when you're talking with him, it's like, just forget about what you were talking about a second ago, because the focus has officially shifted.
I mean, I agree with Mike. I don't like movie theaters either. I'd rather watch a movie at home. But I don't hate movie theaters, I'd go watch a movie at a movie theater.
So that's funny.
If it was the only option.
I'm completely opposite. I love making a a day out of going to the movies. I mean, not a whole day or anything, but I love going to the movies, getting popcorn, and it feels fun to me. Staying at home, I can't really get into it too much, but it's cool to like I know it sounds super dumb when I'm like describing it, but seeing a movie on like a big screen and having a sort of comfy chair, like, it makes it for me.
It's just the other humans in the movie theater that usually ruin it.
Yeah. I getcha. I think I was seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the new Quentin Tarantino movie that came out a few months ago, and there were clearly some teenagers that had snuck in, like, that were next to me. And if anyone's seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it gets extremely graphic at the end of it. And I just remember they were kind of like giggling about it and laughing. I was like, you kids need to shut the fuck up. So
I had the worst movie theater experience I've ever had. It's not Inception. Shutter Island, right? That movie.
Dang, that's such a good movie too. I'm sorry.
There was this group of girls sitting next to us, and one of them had the hiccups for the entire movie. And, it was very audible. And other than that, the whole time they were trying to guess what was happening in the movie, like very, out loud, not to yourself. So the whole movie was ruined for me just by those two things happening because these girls were sitting next to me.
That man was Leonardo DiCaprio the whole time.
That's whole
the
time.
Twist. That's
twist.
Bruce
Willis. He was that guy the whole time in the movie. Did you know that?
Yeah. No, I had no idea. Who would have thought? Shutter Island. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. God, what a twist.
So, yeah, that was a bad experience.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've been kind of holding off for a little bit. I think we should get into the top 5.
All right, let's do it. No, wait. I want to talk about one more thing before we get to the top 5.
Okay.
This is my chance to speak to the world about Pokemon Sword.
Okay.
Which I recently bought.
Oh, that's Switch. The Nintendo Switch? Okay, yeah, go for it.
The new Pokemon game. You want to know the best thing and the worst thing I can say about this game?
Are they the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
It's a Pokemon game.
Oh, shit. Drop the mic. Drop the PC.
If you've ever played Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Red, Pokemon any of the other colors, you know what you're getting into, which is both a positive and a negative depending on your standpoint in your view of Pokemon games.
I mean, I don't see color, but yeah.
Whatever. Irrelevant. Filibuster. Yeah, so it's okay. And I beat it in like a couple of days. I caught some Pokemons. I had one really strong Pokemon because that's the only way to play Pokemon is you pick one and then you level them up all the way.
Yeah, you've got your starter, which is like level 96, and then the next one is like level 13, and you just go from there.
The story is incredibly stupid. So you're trying to become the champion. I don't know if this is spoilers. Probably not. The champion of the League of the Pokemon.
What?
Okay. Right?
No.
You wouldn't expect it. And there's the his name is Rose, which, kind of gay, but I'm cool with that. And he's the chairman of the Pokemon League. And it turns out like he's sort of a bad guy. And then there's your best friend's brother is the Pokemon Master. And so the whole game you're trying to beat the Pokemon Master with your brother. Your best friend is like your arch rival. And you just beat his ass the whole game. And it's kind of funny because every time you beat his ass, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be stronger next time. Just you wait." And my guy's name is Nick Cage. So, just you wait, Nick Cage. I'm going to beat your ass next time. And he never did because, my level 90 Mewtwo Charizard was just too strong for him.
My Char2.
My Char2. And so you get to the end of the game where you're going to go fight Leon.
My Mutard.
You're going to go fight him to become the Pokemon Master of the whole world. And then Chairman Rose steps in. He's like, "Hold off on that, guys. I got this 20-minute thing that we're going to have to do beforehand." And then the game shifts from, just running around catching Pokemon, having a fight every once in a while, to just fight after fight after fight against, different Pokemon trainers. And it really bogs it down, in my opinion.
I mean, it sounds like the plot And I'm not even exaggerating here. It sounds like the plot hasn't shifted since the original game in the mid 90s. You have a best friend slash worst enemy, and in this world, apparently, that can be the same person because
Yeah,
it's
the
just a
same guy.
Pokemon game. Like the person can be like, "Fuck you, we're watching a movie later today," or something. Or like,
I'm gonna go talk to you later
yeah,
because we're friends and enemies. We're frenemies.
like the most. Okay, I remember in the first game you had Gary or whatever the kid's name was, and you guys were actually rivals. And the game tells you, "This is your rival. You've been enemies since before you were born," or something. And then the next game
However
after,
that works.
yep, exactly. But and then after that, I think the next series of games that came out, then it was like your best friend that you were battling with each other and growing together. But the guy still basically plays the role of the asshole friend who's like, "Oh, you picked the fire Pokemon? I'm gonna pick the water Pokemon because fuck you," and it just goes on from there. Like, it's like, yeah, you're a friend, but you're kind of a piece of shit friend. Like if the only reason that you picked that animal is just so you could beat the shit out of my animal, like that's kind of a dick thing.
Yeah, so Pokemon hasn't changed since it became a thing. And if you like Pokemon games, you're going to like this Pokemon game. And if you don't, then you're not going to.
What's funny is like people like the game for not switching it up at all. Like there's basically always been a Team Rocket or a Team blah blah blah, blah and like
Yeah.
a Team bullshit, and people, no one questions it. Like Pokemon fans, I'm sorry, but you have to be the stupidest fans ever because how can
That's
you?
a hot take.
I know. Get ready to lose all of our no fans, but the point is that I've never seen a series that people actively encourage and no change.
Yeah, so I don't know. I kind of regret picking it up. For $60, I could have gotten something different. But I had the itch to play Pokemon again, and I should have just pulled out the Game Boy and played an older one and had the exact same experience.
There's some great mods for Pokemon games. I mean, it is probably one of the largest modded community that people will. I mean, the formula, as I mentioned, is so easy. There is a excuse me. There's a fully modded game. I'm sure you can still find it online called Pokemon Uranium, and it came out. And you can just download it for free. And I think they had like a copyright strike made to them that they had to pull it somewhere. But it's the internet. You can find it somewhere if you look hard enough. But it's
Go on the dark web.
yeah, the dark web.
Dark. Spooky.
I'm scared of the dark. But you can find it. It's called, once again, it's called Pokemon Uranium. And I played the first. Honestly, not a lot. I played the first like 30 minutes of it, and you would not be able to tell that the game isn't a Game Freak licensed Pokemon game. Like it's that similar to like Gen 2 or Gen 3 Pokemon. So, and it's free. So check that out.
Yeah, Pokemon hasn't changed, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yuppers. So it's good to hear because Pokemon on its own, I have played a ton of those games, and I am in the same position where occasionally you're like, oh man, those games are just kind of fun to relax to and hang out and play. They're
Yeah,
like a
most
great
definitely.
game to turn off your brain to,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that honestly is kind of a bullshit excuse now, because it's okay to turn off your brain to a game. I mean, I kind of did that with Kingdom Hearts 3, but I am so familiar with playing emulated old Pokemon games on my PC now, where you can like speed up the pace of the game to 2, 3, 4 times the speed, and like the game is so much more enjoyable when you can just skip all that bullshit. Auto saves and auto loads, so you're not wasting Pokeballs throwing at the same Pokemon over and over. You can catch them essentially the first time. Like that's the way to play the game. It just sucks that Game Freak is taking as slow progress as possible just to really. I don't even know why they're doing it, but the game looks old. It has always looked old. It's never been like modern graphics for what the capabilities of the console that it's on can do, you know?
I think this game looks good. It looks comparable to like Mario Odyssey.
Did you see the Donkey review? I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I watched the Donkey review.
The only
his thoughts and my thoughts are pretty similar, I suppose.
Yeah. A Donkey does a great job of just taking... I mean, they're not overly complicated thoughts, but they're basically what everyone's thinking, and he's able to say two words about it, and it's like, yep, that wraps up that feeling. But I remember I was watching that video, and there's the part where the person pulls out, like, the Mega Pokeball and throws it, and then, like, a huge monster comes out, and it's like, oh, now I've got to really kill this thing. And then he does, like, you know, hit with stick
Branch
or something
poke.
move. Yeah, branch poke, and then the thing dies, and he's like, okay, that was cool.
Yeah, the Digivolving Pokemons, this is new to me. I haven't played a Pokemon game since, like, I don't know, Ruby, I think, was the last one I played before this.
Yeah.
That's just totally ripped off from Digimon, and it's kind of dumb.
So I was gonna, yeah, like, does it do anything? Does it give him, like, double health? Or, like, what is the shtick for having, like, a Mega Pokemon? What does that do?
Yeah, so you get more health. I don't know if it's actually double, and then your moves become super moves. So if you have Surf on your Gyarados, and then you make it a Super Gyarados, a Digivolved Gyarados, now it has Super Surf, and it does more damage, I guess. I didn't really ever see any difference, but it gave them more health, so that was useful.
So is it actually... Because I was getting the impression you could only see that that Mega version of Pokemon when you're in a stadium battle. So there's a certain point where you can evolve them to always be that Mega size. Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's only when you're battling in a gym scenario. And it's, you know, when you're fighting a gym battle, they will also always Digivolve their Pokemon at the very end. So their very last Pokemon is going to be Digivolved, and you can Digivolve your Pokemon at the same time.
Do they
I'm gonna
literally
keep calling
call it
Digivolve?
Digivolve?
No, but I'm going to call it that because that is what it is.
Okay. And what do they actually call it?
I don't know because I just called it Digivolving the whole time.
Okay.
It's like Mega Pokemon, Mega Evolving, I don't know.
That is literally the Digimon thing.
Yes, it's exactly the same thing.
I mean...
And it's just straight ripped off of Digimon.
I was gonna say it's an even worse idea because at least Digimon transformed, like their evolutions showed some kind of something, you know. The werewolf got. I remember I was watching Digimon and like the little like Squirtle thing then became a werewolf, and then like the next form was the werewolf got pants and like an ammo belt. Like there was actually some difference, and then like the next one is he got like brass knuckles or something, and it was like, this is a weird evolution. Now the wolf is a humanoid wolf or whatever. But like, yeah, at least it made a bit of a difference. From what I can tell in the trailers of this Pokemon Sword and Shield, is that the Pokemon is just larger and maybe like radiates a different color or something.
So there are 2 or 3, I don't know exactly how many, but there are a couple Pokemon that change when you Digivolve them. They look different than they do just typically, but it's not all of them. So I think there's no point.
Out of the 100+ Pokemon, there's 2 or 3?
Yeah, there's not that many that look different when you make them big.
Alright. Well, cool. I guess I'll be saving my money there.
Yeah, I would not recommend, unless you really want to play a Pokemon game.
As a
and
side
you really
note,
have $60 to waste.
As a side note, too, I don't know if you have any interest in playing Luigi's Mansion 3, but I would hard dodge that one as well. There's a lot of nostalgia in that purchase that I made to get that game, and it is just nowhere to be found. The fun... I saw it was nominated for, like, Game of the Year or something. It won a Game Award at the 2019 Game Awards for, like, Best Adventure Game or Best Game on the Switch or something. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This game is bullshit. It's so dumb.
So, yeah, I was going to buy that game because I've never played a Luigi's Mansion game until I heard, like, 3 or 4 podcasts ago when you were talking about it, and it just sounded so repetitive and boring, I just decided to skip it.
This whole podcast feels so meta. I love it. We're talking about previous podcasts, and we're talking about Mike in the same pod. Like, it's not even a different podcast. People are going to listen to, like, Mike 2 episodes ago, and then they're going to come to this one, and they're going to be like, shit, that they're gonna realize that like there's a bit more of a gap here than what it feels like to them.
Mike is dead.
He's gone. Rip in peace. Yeah. Shit. The last few episodes.
Thanks
of
to
the
you,
podcast,
I skipped Luigi's Mansion.
Good call. Honestly, just like if you're really indecisive about it, check out 5 minutes of anyone's Twitch channel of Luigi's Mansion 3, and you'll see the puzzles are bullshit. They're all self-contained in the rooms. Like you just vacuum up everything, and it takes 10 minutes, and then you insert the ball into the ball holder. Once everything is visible and apparent to you, then it's like, this is the simple puzzle here. Like, their only gimmick is, we're gonna hide shit in the room.
Fairly simple.
Exactly. Yes. I'm at the end of my second Miller here, so this conversation might begin to get a bit more heated. I can tell that I'm raising my voice as we continue the podcast.
Yeah, I might get drunk by the end of this. Who knows?
Hey, we'll see. So, if that's the end of that, then is it officially time to move on to the top 5?
I think so. I don't have anything else to talk about for the week.
I mean, I'm looking at my recording here. I'm sure it's going to be a slight difference in the official one that comes up. But I mean, we're over the 50-minute mark. Like I am surprised. We got to 25 minutes beforehand, and I was like, "Fuck! I guess we're doing the top 5 now." And somehow we have extended it to an extra 35 minutes. I feel like patting myself on the back.
Yeah, we're good at rants.
Hell yeah. Take that, dead guy, Mike.
Stupid idiot dumbface that we don't talk about. Name will not be mentioned.
I hope he listens to this, but...
He probably doesn't. Who does? Only me, really.
Nobody. You're the only fan. Literally the person on the show is the only fan now. There you go.
This video is going to have 0 views because I'm not going to watch it because I don't want to hear my idiot dumb voice.
Hey, you sound sexy.
Hey, what are you doing later?
Hey, I'm going to see Frozen 2.
You want to hang out?
Frozen 2 and chill? Alright, top 5. So, as we mentioned before, in the previous episode with Cole, we talked about doing top 5 games of 2019, but he also mentioned that he was unable to do podcasts every week. So him and I were going to do podcasts every other week. That being said, this is a week between that. And Cole and I are still going to be doing our top 5 games of 2019. But as a filler, Sam and I are going to be doing top 5 best zombie games. So I've got my 5, and I've got 3 honorable mentions as well. Sam, you got your list?
I have 5 and 1 honorable mention.
All right, sounds good. Would you like to go first, or should I?
You go first.
All right, so how we typically do this, I don't know why I describe it every single episode.
It's because nobody watches.
Exactly. I fully anticipate that someone is going to be listening to the first time, and we'll have our first
Every
fan.
time.
It's
going to be somebody's first time.
I'm just constantly disappointed in life. So I'm going to start. This is the top 5. So obviously we're going to start at the top of the list, and then we're going to work our way to number 1. So I'm going to say...
At the bottom of the list.
What?
That's always bothered me. You start at the bottom of the list, and you move to the top of the list. That's always bothered me that you say that wrong. You start with the worst out of the 5, and you move to the best out of the 5. You don't start at the top. 5. You start at the bottom. Idiot.
Fuck you. No, so I'm going to say my number 5, my number 4, and my number 3, and then we're going to switch to Sam. He's going to say his number 5, his number 4, number 3, switch to number 2, switch to number 2, switch to number 1, switch to number 1. Well, now I just don't feel like enthusiastic. I mean,
oh, pump up the bass.
All right,
get another drink in you, and let's get going.
Smash them up. All right,
it's Miller time.
It's the champagne of fine Pilsner. All right, my number 5 best zombie game is Arizona Sunshine. I don't think that you've ever heard of this game. Have you, Sam? This is in my VR headset.
It's a VR game. Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never played it.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, back when I was living in Montana, Mike was there. Sam was also there. Sam's a good college buddy of ours. And
Hey yo.
hey, college for life.
Ooh, yeah.
Hopefully not.
Take
actually.
me back.
so, so Arizona Sunshine was one of the first games that I got, and supposedly I haven't played it for like a year, 2 years, something like that. But supposedly they've been adding quite a bit to it, something like dual gun wielding or whatever. But no, actually they had that before. I think it's two-handed weapons now. Anyway, I digress. The game is basically a VR game, and you are in the middle of Arizona, obviously, and
That
basically
makes
it's a
sense.
zombie attack going on. So you work your way. Your car breaks down, or like there's a pileup of cars from people that were attacked by zombies. So you start out. You're kind of like searching through these cars. It's really cool. You operate the handles of the doors, open it, look into the car. You grab like all the fucking ammo that people drive around with for no goddamn reason. You know, people are just like loaded
It's
up
Arizona,
on
man. You gotta have your gun on you at all times.
people.
Those illegals are coming for you.
Oh man, at what point should we start like bleeping things out? No, I'm kidding.
At that point, I suppose.
That would be that's a podcast highlight right there. Where's our goddamn wall? No, I'm kidding. So, okay, let me recollect myself. So it's cool where it starts out slow, and you have like some cars to check out and explore, and then as you move down this highway a little bit, you cross a bridge, and there's this like attraction area, and it's like a minecart ride. So you go into the building and you explore the building, and then you go, you take a minecart down into the shaft, and you start exploring there. Like it's a really cool, excuse me, it's a really cool down to earth kind of zombie game where I've always got a problem with Resident Evils because they always have this insanely out of control story, and it makes no goddamn sense. But Arizona Sunshine always felt very down to earth. It was just a guy, and you're basically exploring all this shit to survive. But the coolest thing about it is that it really does ramp up in terms of the gameplay. I mean, it's so hard to describe a VR game without actually playing it, but it is. And so I know that this sounds dumb, but going from full open space, like, you know, kind of in this car graveyard basically, to being able to shoot something from hundreds of feet away, to later being in a mine, and one of the things that you're holding now is a flashlight, and so you've got to operate the flashlight, and you've got to hold the gun too. Like, it gets fucking scary. And so that game always felt just like it was always raising the bar. I really enjoyed how the game progressed a lot, and just being in VR in general, I mean, really lining up your iron sights was a huge deal.
So I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Is this game on rails? Like, do you move the process forward, or is it, on rails where it moves forward for you?
Not on rails. So it does that thing where you lift up the controller, and then it has a warping mechanic to it.
Okay, that's one thing that has bothered me with a couple of the VR games I've played with you is the on rails portion. You know, I did not enjoy that.
Yeah.
We played that one zombie shooter game. I don't know if it was zombies, but it was like a spooky game.
Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. Yeah, you played that on the PSVR.
Yeah, I did not enjoy that.
Yeah.
And it has a real story and a good story on a VR game.
The story isn't really existent. Basically, you're just a guy, and you piece it together on your own. Your car, like, you start by a car, and then you move towards other cars that are in front of you. So basically, it's like, I can't get through here, so you start collecting ammo, and then zombies come, and it goes from there. Yeah, there's not some, like, overarching plot or anything. It's just, like, you experience this area, then this area, then that area. And it all makes sense, though. Like, you're just trying to survive. But they don't ever... Like, your guy doesn't, like, talk to himself, or... Well, maybe he does. But, yeah, there's not, like, some big, like...
Plot.
Umbrella Corporation or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've always viewed VR as more as a gimmick than some sort of technology that's moving us forward. And I think we disagree on that point.
Quite a bit lately. So, I don't know if you know this, so a small tangent. Oculus Quest is a wireless.
$500. Who has that kind of cash?
Oh no no
on
no!
hand?
It's 400 for the cheaper version, and then 500 for like more storage space. But you don't need the storage space. So it is a wireless headset, and you can play some games wirelessly. But then you can also now there's a way called it's like a Link, Oculus Link, where now you can play all the games on it, and on top of that, next year they're going to have hand tracking, so you're probably not even going to need mouse hand controls afterwards. So it's honestly, it looks super fucking cool. I don't know. What are your concerns about VR? Because I would be happy to discuss it for
The
a moment.
massive headset that you have to put over your face every time you're going to play.
Okay, I could see that there's a little bit of hesitation with that. I mean, it's a bit more uncomfortable than holding a controller for sure, but I would say that the immersiveness is the most. Oh God, the alcohol! I can't speak.
I'm right there with you, buddy.
I would say that the immersiveness adds towards it. It's basically from playing with a mouse and keyboard to me. A lot of people are intimidated by a keyboard and a mouse, and they would think, why not play on a PlayStation controller or an Xbox controller? But it's because certain games are just better with a mouse and keyboard. You're more accurate. Like, I would hate to play Counter-Strike or Team Fortress 2 or any first-person shooter game with a controller. So
yeah, I can see that. Okay.
that's my argument. Is it's a trade-off. It might be more complicated to use, but it is the immersiveness is worth it.
So yeah, I've played only VR with you. You had a PlayStation VR, and then you got a second version. What was the second one that you got?
That was an Oculus Rift CV1.
So I hated the PlayStation VR the first time I tried it with you.
Yeah.
The headset was uncomfortable. It was large and heavy. The games weren't fun. But then the second time that I played VR with you with the Oculus Rift, it was a much better time. The super hot VR is probably one of the most, some of the most fun gaming I've ever had in a group. It's a single player game, but then you're watching everybody, on the TV as well.
Well, you played, what's it called? Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes with us, right? Like, that was probably my favorite VR
I tried that
game.
once.
Okay.
I tried that once, yeah. Super Hot VR was my favorite for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That game works so well in the VR. If you move, they move. I bought it after we played it on VR on PC, and it's fun on PC, but it's so much better on VR.
I'm sure it just feels like a completely different game, honestly.
I mean, it's the same game. It's just, you're moving the mouse forward, or you're pressing W to move forward instead of actually moving forward to move your guy forward. So, and the whole gimmick is, time stops when you aren't moving, as you know, but the viewers might not know. It works so well in VR.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only game that I had played with you that had made me consider getting into VR.
Yeah.
And that's just a complete tangent on VR, nothing to do with Arizona Sunrise, but...
No, but it still defines the point. I think the big reason why Arizona Sunshine is on this list is purely because that it is a virtual reality game. I mean, give me any other VR game that has a sort of substantial story, and it would probably be on this list. The point is that it is just a decently made VR game. So, I think that it's still a relevant conversation to have. Arizona Sunshine is great. They also have a Nazi zombies kind of mode, which does make it kind of go above and beyond a conventional game, where they have the story, and then you can play a survival where you're in a room, and there are zombies literally as the same thing as Nazi zombies. There's zombies coming through the windows, and you have to look through the room, find ammo. There's doors. It's like a small little puzzle. You've got to find keys to doors. You've got to do some other shit to go from one space to another space. It's super cool. And yeah, I mean, that's why I like that. It
sounds cool. Next time I see you, we should try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to show it off. And from what I've heard, I mean, they added in two-handed guns now. Like, I assume shotguns and like pump action kind of shit. Like, that would be a really cool thing for me to see, because I can't imagine how that works in VR. The whole like lining that up seems like it would be such an achievement technologically.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot. So my number 5 is Arizona Sunshine. Honestly, it is a really great game, but I haven't played anything VR for a couple months now. I mentioned in a previous podcast I was in Taiwan for a year, and I didn't bring my VR headset with me. And then since I came back
Brag
here,
about it.
there you go. That's right. I went to a third world country. No. So, actually, I sold my VR headset when I came back as well. I put it on eBay, so I'm looking to upgrade soon. But that would be my number 5. And once I get an upgraded headset, I'd love to replay that again because I thought it was great. But my number 4, moving forward, is kind of a hit to left field here. This is a game that a lot of people wouldn't expect to be in a top 5 best zombie games, but I swear to God, every time I play this game, it is nothing but fun. And that is the Oregon Trail. Organ Trail. So, this is a game that is basically the Oregon Trail, but with zombies in it. And you ride your old station wagon, your wagon, from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Yeah, you mentioned this game on a previous list of casual games. I don't remember exactly what the list was, but I looked into purchasing it at that point.
Yeah. Honestly, it's great. I just played it like a month ago or something, and it's a great time. Like, the game, I'm trying to think. It's so simple, but that's the reason why I love to show it to people, and you just get sucked into it. It's like, Sam, you and I kind of have a spot in our hearts. I mean, at least I do. But there's a game called Super Hexagon, and it's just so...
I love Super Hexagon.
It's so dumb, but it's fun to play. Honestly, I looked at my Steam, and I've put 8 hours into it, and I was like, how did that happen? But it's the exact same story with Oregon Trail.
Super Hexagon, just a great soundtrack.
It is,
That's
honestly.
like 90% of the reason why I would play that game again is just to hear the music.
I mean, I play it for the brain hemorrhages, but...
Well, that's part of it.
Yeah, if you've never heard of the game Super Hexagon, small tangent, it's $1, I think, at full price, and it is so worth that dollar.
It's so worth it, yeah.
But going back to the Oregon Trail, it's really fun. It is literally just a copy-paste redo of the Oregon Trail, but with a zombie, color or a zombie theme on top of it. And as that game is as popular as it is right now, from being like a 90s or an 80s or whatever game when it first came out, like, that same formula still is just as applicable today. It's still just as fun, so that's why it's my number 4. There's honestly not much to talk about it here. It's just simply cut and paste a straight good formula with a zombie theme.
I'll have to try it out.
Yeah. And I don't even know... I mean, I haven't played Oregon Trail in a long time, the original Oregon Trail, but something tells me that it would be a lot harder to find that game than it would be to just play this rip-off version. So, if you're looking...
If you can get it on Steam, it's easier than finding Oregon Trail.
There you go. Exactly. Okay, so my number 3 is the most recent game that I've played. The most recent zombie game I've played, but I was really taken back by how great it was. And that's going to be the Resident Evil 2 remake. So, have you had any considerations about buying this game, Sam?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've got a good place in my heart for the old Resident Evils, the PlayStation 1 ones, so I've been considering picking up the HD remakes.
Okay. Well, I would first say that they're probably nothing like what you remember. If you're looking for straight nostalgia trips, you're probably not going to find it here. They definitely update the game enough where it doesn't feel too similar.
So the controls actually work now?
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, so the game... I mean, honestly, everyone kind of talks shit about the voice acting in this game, but I would say up until you get like halfway through it, it's decent. There's not a lot of voice acting, but they sell the idea of, like, Leon Kennedy, the main character, one of the main characters that you play as. He kind of has like this it's his first day on the force as a new cop, and he's kind of like this, peppy young guy. Like, I've got to do it. Like, the shitty voice acting kind of works for his agenda because he's like some new, like, want to impress people type of bullshit cop. It's great. But Resident Evil 2 is a fantastic remake. The atmosphere is awesome, and as I've mentioned before in previous podcasts, I am I guess the correct word is a pussy when it comes to scary games.
That would be how I would put it, yeah.
Accurate. But
accurate.
I actually never had any problems playing through this game. So it has kind of like a horror feel to it, but it was never enough that made me hesitate from playing more. Maybe it was the fact that the game was less scary. Maybe it was the fact that the game was just that much fun. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you which one, because I honestly thought that the scenery was great. The subtle sounds that are, the rain coming down outside, or like, the wind kind of like hitting the against the windows or something, or smacking the what do you call the window?
The pane.
Yeah, the window panes. So I thought that all the design choices for the game were great. Honestly, it should have been a game I was more scared about, but it was probably just that fun. It did have its faults, specifically during the second half of the game, but all in all, it played, as you mentioned before, it played fantastically, and it's on this list because zombies are specifically a big reason as to why this game is successful. Having to navigate and solve the puzzles is fun on its own, but also, I don't think it's any spoiler at this point, there's a guy named Mr. X who's just, ever present after a certain point of the game, and you can kind of hear him, stomping around if he's above or below you, and then if you, shoot a zombie, you'll hear him, start to,
walk. He's coming. Oh, he's coming.
Exactly.
Oh, Lord.
Exactly. And there's times where I remember specifically, there's a laundry room. You're stuck in a police office, and
station,
department, one of those, and I can hear him under me, and I'm next to the stairwell, so he's technically close, but there's a zombie that's about to attack me, so I have to shoot him, and he is alerted to any noise, Mr. X, so I shoot, and then I kind of you can tell that he was walking away from me, and then he kind of you can hear him kind of walk towards the stairs, and I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. So I dart into a laundry room, and I hear him dun 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 dun, and then he stops outside the laundry room, and I was like, leave, just fucking leave, just go
away.
Go, god damn it, just go away. And he doesn't move for 5 seconds. It felt like an eternity to me, and I start to hear him walk, and I'm like, okay, he's walking away. And the door fucking opens, and he's in there, and there's nowhere to go. It's a fucking laundry room. So, the room is specifically made for hiding, but since he was smart enough to check in there, I was, fucking cornered, and it was, I wouldn't say I got, scared, but I was, heightened, where I was like, fuck, I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. And sure enough, there's no way to dodge, there's no dodge move or anything in the game. You can just run a little bit faster. Your guy can do a power walk is basically it. So
you can walk, and you can walk faster.
Yeah. And if you shoot him, it only makes him walk faster. It's cool, but it can be pretty dumb sometimes too. It makes me frustrated. So, it just comes up to me and just lays me out on the ground. And typically he gives you an opportunity to run away, but I got up and just immediately he just lays me back on the ground. And at this point, your health can be fine, okay, and then caution. So I got hit twice, so now I'm at caution, and so I go in before my guy even gets up. I use the herb, the illicit drug.
The herb, not Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Oregano.
This ain't no Spider-Man, son. I used that to get myself back up to fine, and then then he did his animation for I'm gonna give you a moment to escape here, and yeah, I got my ass out of there. But it is a really smart tactic. I know a lot of people were kind of hating on Mr. X for saying it's I saw some reviews and they were saying like it's kind of dumb that they needed a new way to freshen up this atmosphere. Once you've explored the building, he kind of shows up, and once you've got more to do, he's kind of like the reason to liven up the gameplay a little bit more. But honest to God, it does really change how you approach everything, because the second you fire even a single bullet, no matter where you are, he's typically pretty close to you, and then you hear him like change pace, come at you, and it totally. Beforehand, I was like laying out every zombie, killing every single one, but after he came along, then I was just doing like one shot to the head and then sneaking around the zombies, and that's how I got around for almost the rest of the game, was just like stunning them. So by the end of the game, I couldn't go anywhere without a room being full of zombies because I was never killing them off. I was just stunning them. So the game got I thought it was a really great progression, or I would say difficulty curve to add that guy in.
It got progressively harder.
That is the correct term that I was looking for.
There you go, buddy.
My man. All right. So to go back through those bottom three.
There you go.
Arizona Sunshine for VR. Oregon Trail, I've played it on PC, but I think it's on several consoles. And then number 3, Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's on several consoles, but I played it on PS4, and I actually really enjoyed the controls for it quite a bit. Sam, what is your number 5?
All right, my bottom 5 is called I Made a Game with Zombies in It. This is an old arcade game. I had it on the Xbox 360. I'm not sure if it was available for anyone else or anywhere else.
Just for Sam.
This game cost $1, and it was on the Xbox Arcade. And it has one of the best soundtracks ever. It's so good. It's hilarious.
I've heard it, but just describe it to me anyway, because I want to hear how you describe it. I know what it is, but I want to hear you describe it.
I made a game with zombies in it.
I didn't think you were actually going to sing it. This is great.
And then it goes from there for the whole game.
Yeah.
It's just a simple arcade game. You pick up upgraded weapons, and it's top down. You just shoot the zombies that surround you.
It's a twin stick shooter, right? One stick to move, one stick to shoot in any direction.
Yeah, and you just run around, shoot zombies until you run out of lives, and you put your points on the board, and repeat from there. But for what it was, cost $1, great soundtrack, fun gameplay. Would recommend if you have Xbox 360 and arcade available to you still.
I didn't realize it cost $1, because people talk about that game even to this. I mean, literally, you are talking about it right now on this day. So, like, there you go. But that is like that's like the Oregon Trail on my list to yours. Is like, this is a really simple game. Honestly, there are probably a ton of other AAA zombie games out there, but fuck that, because this game was a great deal, and it also came with a great money back or like investment ROI, return of investment. We're getting into business talk here, boys.
We gotta get the VIN, you know.
Yes.
All right, number 4 on my list is State of Decay. I have played both of them, but the first one I've played the most of. It's a very fun zombie game. What you're doing in the game is you set up a base, and then it's like the outskirts of a town. You go to each building in the town to collect resources, basically. And once you collect the resources from that building, it's clear and there's no more resources available, so you have to move farther and farther away from your home base to collect new resources. It's just a fun zombie shooter. The collecting resources aspect is probably the most fun, in my opinion.
Yeah. I always felt kind of so-so about this game, so it's funny to me that the reasons that I didn't like it are specifically the reasons that you did like it. Because I always felt it was a very tedious game with how you do have to go back and forth so often, and I thought that was... Like, I thought that they could have optimized that better, where it shouldn't be you just basically being the fucking transporter going from your survival encampment to an unknown area. Like, I thought if I was going to enjoy the game more, I would like it where the materials that I grab are just transported magically to my base or something. I fucking hated doing the back and forth.
I think that it adds to the suspense, in my opinion, and like the real survival aspect of, you know, a zombie apocalypse. Resources are going to be scarce, and you're going to have to look harder and harder for necessary resources, the food and the medicine, building materials, etc.
Fuck you and your logic.
Okay.
That's my counter argument.
So yeah, I really enjoy State of Decay. I know you don't like it, and Mike didn't like it all that much.
Mike doesn't like anything.
Especially not movie theaters.
In some movie theaters. No.
Yeah, number 3 on my list is Left 4 Dead. And probably Left 4 Dead 2 is the one I played the most.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a great, shooter game. Really fun with friends. I don't even know how to describe it. You just get a gun, pick a character, and clear the room.
Did you play on Xbox or PC, or how'd you play?
I played on Xbox 360, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That always was a really good game. That was one of the... That is one of the few games where zombies are able to run, and they were able to pack the screen with zombies. I remember everyone was just like floored with how many zombies they could actually put on in the game without slowing down the process, the console, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would shoot a car, and then all the zombies would run to the car. There was I think they were called witches. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
That were hard to get past. You didn't want to shoot them, so it was just a fun game.
Tanks and the
Tanks,
special
different
zombies.
zombie specials. Yeah.
Did you ever play the online modes where people could be the special zombies?
No, I never played it online.
Yeah, I never got around to that either. Honestly, I just liked the normal 4-person co-op so much. I never even tried the online, like 4 versus 4 or whatever you would call it.
It's a very good couch co-op game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. So was that one your number 3?
That was number 3, yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll switch back over. I'll say my number 2 here. So this might surprise you. If you're a longtime listener of the series of We Can't Code, I can't imagine who I'm talking to when I say that.
You're talking to me.
Yeah. I like how I said that, and Sam's first response was to laugh. As in, like, that's a good joke.
It is. It's a funny joke.
So, if you listen to the podcast at all, you would know that I really enjoy Nazi zombies from Call of Duty Black Ops. So, it naturally was going to make an appearance on this list, but I am certain that a lot of people suspected it was... a lot of people. I'm certain that anyone who has heard the previous episodes would suspect it would be my number 1. Well, it is actually my number 2. So, lately Nazi Zombies has had some real poor quantity over quality decisions, and I have to knock it down a little bit here. The zombies
that is surprising.
I know, right?
Yeah, I suspected this was going to be your number 1 for sure.
Yeah. Well, the other game that's my number 1, I mean, if you can think of it, don't say it, but I'll bring it up in a moment. I've still talked about it before. But Nazi Zombies, it always will hold a special place in my heart. I have played hundreds of hours of this game, and that is a very hard thing to do with a co-op game. It's really hard to find people that have the same amount of dedication to a specific game that you do. And sure enough, Mike was one of those guys that he was one of our 4 that just was constantly down to play this game. Whenever him and I hung out in high school, whenever in college we had PlayStation Online, whatever, he would always be down for it. So we were always playing, and then as I went to college, I found also like some new groups of friends to play with, and it was always just a game that stuck around. And I think if I was going to say specifically what zombies game, I would say it's a difficult decision between World at War, the original zombies, and then Black Ops 1, but purely from technical stance, I would probably have to say Black Ops 1 is the penultimate zombies experience.
So this is an honor. My one honorable mention was Call of Duty Zombies. I was never into it as much as any of my friends, including you. But I would have, if I had to pick one to be my favorite, it would have been the Black Ops one.
Yeah.
It's a very good game. It's very fun. I just never got into it as much as everybody else did.
Black Ops was the version that decided it was going to be a literal part of the game rather than a add-on, like a fun bonus add-on. It became one of the three main features of the game, aside from the campaign and the story, and also they continue...
The campaign and the story?
Sorry, the campaign and the multiplayer.
There you go.
Attaboy. Hey, it's Miller time.
Miller time.
I'm almost done with my 3, so we better finish this podcast. I said I didn't want to be more drunk than having
time.
3 beers.
Yeah,
I know,
same. Because I'm on more than that.
All right, maybe we should slow down a bit. Water break. Shit, I think
water time.
I do have some water right here. 1 second.
All right, I'm gonna have a drink of water as well.
It's so tasty.
Delicious.
All right, now I'm totally sober.
Oh yeah.
So, Zombies in Black Ops 1 was not only great in terms of the things that they added and the maps and the weapons, but they also were able to add its own bonus content to a feature in a game that started as bonus content. So Sam, if you remember, I think you played Dead Ops Arcade with us once or twice, which is the top-down shooter similar to
that.
I Made a Game with Zombies in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was comparable to the entire other Zombies experience. I mean, having the 4-person couch co-op top-down shooter was super goddamn fun. It was way more fun than it deserved to be. It's almost as fun as the original Zombies. And there's no way that this can be anything short of a number 2 for me, because it just, I mean, for me to be able to group that experience, Dead Ops Arcade, with also just how much I love the original Nazi Zombies, I mean, it's a clear number 2 up there. It would be close to number 1, but like I said, the last 4 or 5 fucking installments have been just bullshit. But I still love it. It's still got a special place in my heart, even to this day.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the arcade mode the most out of any of the Nazi Zombies that I played.
Mm-hmm. And then they
I didn't like the story aspects, finding the clues or whatever that they added in the later installments of the zombie games.
Honestly, it got too big for its britches. I don't know why I used that term, but the game...
Big for its britches. Yeehaw!
Hot dog. Basically, they took core mechanics of the gameplay. They had 2 different things. They had core mechanics of the gameplay being turn on the power, activate this and that and whatever, and then they had additional side content, which is learn the story. And the story was always an Easter egg. For anyone who doesn't know that term, it just means it's hidden. You don't have to do it. It's optional. If you do it, there's some rewards, but it's really difficult and tedious, and you don't have to usually worry about it. They took both of those aspects, the unnecessary and the absolutely necessary, and they forced them together and made them extremely tedious. So that was the biggest downfall of Nazi Zombies, is that to get anywhere in terms of progression into this wave survival game, you had to do this extremely tedious bullshit. In comparison, the game was fairly easygoing up until I don't know, round 18 or something. And now in the new versions, it's you can't do anything until you jump through a bunch of goddamn hoops. So yeah, number 2, I feel very comfortable with it being at number 2 there. Sam, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation 1, or if you prefer, just Resident Evil as a series, because most of the games are enjoyable. Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation 1, I played that when I was, 10 years old, and it scared the tits off of me.
Okay.
So spooky.
So
mostly nostalgia.
Tell me this here. Resident Evil now officially has 7 games in the main series, and then they've got Revelations, they've got all this stuff. So I'm not going to ask you to say your favorite to least favorite, but tell me, what are the games that you've played? What would you consider as the best of those games, and what would you say is the worst of the games that you specifically have played?
So I have played 1, 2, the originals, not the remakes.
Yeah.
4, and the 2 Revelations are the ones that I have played.
Okay.
If I'm looking back, the worst one that I've played is probably also my most favorite, just the first one. And it's my favorite because of the nostalgia factor. And
But
when
the
I played it,
controls, I'm sure, are
and the
shit at
controls
this
are
point.
so bad. It's impossible to control. The camera is really bad. But if I'm looking back at one of my favorite zombie games, it is that one.
It's amazing to me that you haven't picked up the second, the remake now, because if that's your number 2, I mean,
I'm not made out
seriously.
of money, man. What do I look like? Some functioning adult?
Hell no.
$40 in my pocket? What is this?
What do I miss your money bags here?
Have you
Come
seen
on.
the economy lately?
Let me just squeeze down into my money can and blast off into money land. So, number 1 then is your favorite and also your least favorite.
Yeah, of course, both.
Yeah.
The best one that I've played is probably 4. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, 4 was a turning point where it does feel like a more modern game, especially with the controls, but I mean
they actually work.
well, but I mean the what would you call it? The diversity in enemies, or I guess the variety in enemies, and the story was once again kind of bullshit in that one, but it is really cool because it's still, in my opinion, the reason I like a good Resident Evil game is because it's down to earth. The biggest problem with Resident Evil is when it no longer becomes down to earth. And Resident
The
Evil
story
4,
gets out of hand, man.
yeah. And as ridiculous as Resident Evil 4 is, it is still down to earth because you operate within a small village. There's never anything outside of the small village. There's maybe a tiny bit at the end. I think you go on like maybe an oil rig, but other than that, it is one of the most confined games of the modern Resident Evils.
I would agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think people talk about how Resident Evil 4 is like the ultimate, the best game, and I think that it definitely deserves that praise. I'm going to say that my favorite right now is Resident Evil 2, but Resident Evil 4, I could easily see that outshining Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6. I mean, Resident Evil 7 I haven't played, but yeah, I think it totally deserves all the praise that it's gotten. Alright, so let's switch back over here. My number 1, I feel like there should be a drum roll. I'm not going to add it in or anything. There it is. There it is. It's beautiful. Sam, there's another game that I talk about that includes zombies all the time. I actually tried to get you to play this game back in the day, and you were unconvinced. So...
Day 7.
Yeah.
7 days to die.
That's the one. You got it.
I am so disappointed in you.
Why?
Because you don't have Last of Us on your list anywhere?
Last of Us is actually in our honorable mention.
You are a piece of garbage human being.
Yes. I already knew that.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. 7 Days to Die. Probably one of my favorite games here. It sucks because whenever Mike and I talk about it, it is basically nostalgia now because the game just kind of sucks, but it has the potential. I'm certain that once the developer realizes he is a terrible person who fucks his games up for his own amusement, once he realizes to change the game for the betterment, that it'll become a great game. But I mean, as it was when I played it, it was just an unbelievable series. It's basically, I've explained this game like 700 times now.
It's an awful, terrible, boring game.
Exactly. The end.
And that's why it makes number 1.
It is a Minecraft clone. Is probably the easiest way to describe it, but that doesn't do it enough justice. It's a Minecraft clone, but there is an ever-present fear, or I guess problem with zombies. I'm having a problem with my articulation lately. I need to put this Miller Lite down.
You've drinking too many beers.
Dang,
it's not
darn.
It's not an underlying fear. It's an underlying deadline.
Deadline?
Yes. Which is a boring word for boring game.
No. What I was getting at is that in Minecraft, there's like the sun. I know what you're getting at, but let me first explain. So, the sun comes up and there's nothing bad that can hurt you unless you're in like a cave or something. The sun goes down and that's when evil things start coming out in Minecraft. 7 Days to Die, there's always this ever-present danger where the zombies can just sneak up at you at any time. So at the night, they basically go from Dawn of the Dead, like walking zombies, to 28 Days Later zombies at the night, where they can run, they can smash through shit. Any sound that you make, they will be alerted Mr. X style and just like start destroying everything in their path. Like, as I mentioned, it's a Minecraft game, so they can just get through anything. If you put enough zombies up against a concrete wall, they will eventually break that concrete wall and get into your base. So you can never fully escape them. If you try to build up a platform into the sky, they will attack your base, and then the physics engine will bring down your base. If you try to make a base underground, they will literally dig through the dirt, through the stone, through everything until they eventually get to your base. So you are never safe. I think that is probably the best part about the game, is that you're basically never safe. If you're making sound, if you generate too much heat, there's a ton of ways to draw zombies. And I think another thing about what makes a game great is the people that you play it with. And Mike and I played this game nonstop. There was a time before Mike was in Montana that he came to visit me in Montana. We had a week to do whatever we wanted, and we went hiking like 2 times, and then we just stayed inside and played 7 Days to Die the rest of it. It was a complete waste of time, if I'm being serious, if I'm being completely honest, but at the end of the day, that shows how addicted we were to the game. We would order like pizzas and still play the game. We would refuse to leave our fucking computers because we were so attached at getting this shit done. And as Sam mentioned before, you have a deadline. So as the title of the game is called 7 Days to Die, every 7th night, at the end of the week, the nighttime comes, and as usual, the zombies are in like heightened 28 Days Later mode, where they run, they're more, their senses are heightened, they can hear you more, they can sense you better. But on the 7th day, it takes all that, and it drops in like 50 or 100 zombies just right onto your base. Like, it's not like they just spawn in, but they summon a crowd, a wave of zombies to come in, and they like go over your base, and typically, because they're extra heightened, they'll hear you. So it's basically like every week you have to rebuild your base, because that 7th day the zombies are just gonna fucking rip through it. And it was one of the most fun games. It was one of the most fun times I've ever played in a multiplayer game. There's no hiding that fact. Yeah.
Do you know what I have to deal with at work every single day?
Taxes.
Deadlines.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I don't want to come home and relax to? Different deadlines.
Oh, okay. I was going to be way off with my guess.
Yeah, you were going to be way off with your guess. And for that one fact alone, plus the game is shit, this game is shit.
The game is currently shit. There's no denying that. I don't want anyone to listen to this podcast and then think, oh, I'm going to buy that game. Well, don't. Because it's like playing Banjo-Kazooie now versus playing Banjo-Kazooie in 98 or whenever it came out. Like, the game's still going to be decent, but you're not really hitting it in its prime, you know?
Yeah, it's past its prime.
Mm-hmm.
Just as us.
Just kill me. No, so that's my number one. I could go on about it, but I feel like Sam's just going to give me a whole bunch of shit. Yep, there it is. Just let me just go fuck myself. Sam, your number one is The Last of Us, right?
My number one is the best game of all time, in my opinion. The Last of Us.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, PlayStation 4.
PlayStation 1 Spider-Man.
Superman 64. So, The Last of Us is great. I typically don't care about stories in games. I enjoy pushing through a game to get to the fun bits, like the shooty bits.
It is really funny to watch Sam play a game, by the way, because there will be some wild amount of exposition that Sam's just like slamming the A button or the X button through, and he's like, no, we understand, it's a zombie game.
I just want to get to the fun bits. I don't care about the story and the jibber jabber. Just let me shoot the person or whatever it is, sling my sword at him, shoot the arrow at him, whatever.
Honestly, it's hilarious to watch you play a narrative-driven game.
I slap that A button as hard as possible to skip all the story parts. And I was doing that with Last of Us, and I think it took me like 3 times to actually get through Last of Us, because the first part of the game is mostly story, and it's mostly just hidey-shooty bits. But once I finally pushed through that part and got to, like, the gameplay is okay. You're throwing bricks at people and zombies, and you're sneaking through stuff, so it is technically a zombie game. But the reason that this is the number 1 on my list, and the number 1 on everyone who is a smart human being's list, is the story of the game. It is so goddamn good and engaging.
Fucking hypocrite. Let me tell you about how good a story of a game is. Just the guy who, like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
That is why this game is where it is on my list, is because of the story, not the gameplay. It's fun, but it's not the best gameplay I've ever played. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So, you made me lose my train of thought. Drunk. Okay. Yes. But by the end of the story of this game, you go to, I guess this is spoilers, but when you're in the hospital portion, I was so amped up, and I was killing all the doctors and nurses and whatever just to get Ellie back. And the story drug me in and didn't let me go. I was invested in the game like I haven't been in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Or since. Because I typically don't enjoy stories in games. They're boring.
Yeah. I'm glad that the game was powerful enough to, the story was powerful enough to seduce you. Because, honestly...
the main reason is it has unskippable cutscenes.
God bless those.
Or I would have never known that the story was so good.
The reason you love the game is because it forced you to do something you wouldn't conventionally do.
Correct.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and say that, knowing... Honestly, I had it... I typically write out like a list of 20 games that are relevant to our top 5, and then I do selective going through them. I did forget about The Last of Us. All things considered, I hate doing this, but I would probably switch out my number 4, Oregon Trail, for The Last of Us, because I think
it's
it does
still not
that.
high enough. Still not high enough.
You play Resident Evil 2, I think was a great game. Go ahead and play it. I think it was awesome. Nazi Zombies I love, and 7 Days to Die is just unbeatable in my eyes. I know you're gonna not like that sentence.
No, that's fair.
But Last of Us,
fair.
I would give number 4. So, have you played all the DLC with that game?
I have played one of the DLCs. I can't even... It's been a long time since I've actually played the game, but...
Yeah. I don't...
I don't know what it's called. I can't remember, but I have played the DLC pack that I remember.
I was gonna say
for that game.
I don't know how much DLC that there is. I got the remastered version with DLC recently, and I didn't know if it was substantial or not, but I was gonna play through it this time before the second one came out.
Yeah, I've played through the DLC. It just expands on the story a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
So
no, I would say that is a very fitting number 1. I mean, to be on this list, it has encouraged me to change my list slightly. It definitely deserves to be on a top 5, and I feel bad for forgetting it. But, so to go through my list here, typically what we do is we end by re-saying the list quickly. Number 5, Arizona Sunshine VR. Honestly, it's more just because of the experiential VR, but it is a really fun game. Number 4, originally it was Oregon Trail, but I might switch it to The Last of Us because, as Sam was explaining, it is just a really solid game. The action is a bit slower, but that by no means that it's that the game has less action or is less enticing. My number 3 is Resident Evil 2. It is just a finely polished game. I think the puzzles are great. I think that being in a confined space and working your way around zombies is... I feel like that's a really lame way to describe it, but it is super fun. Just having a really confined space to work in and having to manage around that space, it's great. Number 2, Nazi Zombies. It's just a fantastic multiplayer game that I love playing with people. And then number 1, 7 Days to Die. It's a game that the hours, the days, the weeks, the fucking months, they just slip away when you're playing it. So I've got some honorable mentions, but first, Sam, why don't you re-say your 5 through 1 again?
All right, starting with number 5 is I Made a Game with Zombies in It, an old Xbox 360 arcade game. Number 4 is State of Decay. Number 3 is Left 4 Dead. If I had to pick one of the two, my favorite is probably number 2.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Resident Evil as a series, or if I had to pick one, it would be the first one on PlayStation 1. And number 1 is The Last of Us, which I played on PS4.
Sure. So I've got a few honorable mentions, and I'm just going to breeze over these because as good as they are, they didn't make the top 5. They do have their own faults, and so I hate to hype up a game that I didn't add onto my top 5, but it is still being an honorable mention worth mentioning. So number 6, if I was going to continue the list, number 6, actually, you know what, these don't have a specific order. So the first one I'm going to mention, in no specific order, is the Walking Dead series from Telltale. I thought that was kind of a revolutionary game in terms of storytelling, and it basically spawned Telltale's narrative-driven games. They made a bunch of other games beyond that. The next one is They Are Billions, and this is basically an RTS game where you have a small colony. Like, I don't play these games typically. I always refer to them as basically like StarCraft games, but you get resources, you build a colony, you build up your defenses, you make walls, you have whatevers, and then, you know, waves of zombies come in. But this game is called They Are Billions because they do send thousands upon thousands of zombies to attack you, and just the sheer number of how many pixels are or how many zombies are populating your screen is insane. I mean, you see literally thousands of zombies on your screen, and you've got guys with flamethrowers just wiping them out. You've got, you know, guys with machine guns just laying into them. It's when the game ramps up, it is fucking crazy. And then the last one that I'm going to mention is an old but favorite one. Honestly, I was debating this. If any of these games was going to be in my top 5, this is another one that I was really debating. It was just on the line, but it would be Plants vs. Zombies. I love this game to death. And it's just a classic, strategic, very simple, but probably one of the most chill casual games that you can play ever, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. I also considered Plants vs. Zombies. I really like tower defense games, and Plants vs. Zombies is one of the best of them.
Mm-hmm. So what are you mentioned that you had an honorable mention or two.
So I have 2 honorable mentions and then 1 dishonorable mention.
Okay. All right.
So my
Mixing it up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think COD Zombies is also a very good, very fun zombie game. Talked about it a little bit when you were talking about COD Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
I just never got into it as much as all my friends did playing COD. I was more into the multiplayer aspect. Click their heads and they die. Those are the kind of games that I like to play. Plants vs. Zombies as well, and then The Walking Dead. While it was a very fun game, I could never get my save file to go over to the second part. So I think I played through the first part of that game like 3 times, and I could never get my save file to go over so that my decisions would carry on to the second part.
Is this your dishonorable? Is that what you're getting
No,
at?
this is still an honorable mention. I liked the game, and I would have probably played all of the parts if I could have gotten my decisions to carry over, but they never did for me. So I only ever played the first part like 3-4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into my dishonorable mention will be DayZ.
Ooh.
This game, I was so excited to play this game. This was before, PUBG, Fortnite, which I never really played, but the battleground shooter type games. This was kind of the game that spawned the battleground shooter type games, and I was so excited to play this game, and it just sucked. It's just really boring. Whenever you spawn into a map, I played it for like a couple of hours probably, but everybody had all of the gear that was much better than you. The zombies were like non-existent. It was mostly just player versus player killing you. The game was absolutely terrible, and for the $30 that it cost me, I could have bought so many Taco Bell burritos for that price.
Hell yeah, you could have.
And I regret it.
If only you just had the foresight to buy $30 worth of Taco Bell 5-layer burritos.
So many burritos could have been eaten. Instead, I bought that game and played it for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, I've got a friend who keeps telling me to buy DayZ, and I just keep saying no, 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 and he doesn't understand that I'm not interested. He keeps trying to it's one of those things that he's so invested in that he refuses to hear or to see the writing on the wall of like, this is a terrible fucking game, and he will die with DayZ is a good game written on his gravestone, I'm pretty sure.
It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
So
it's it's broken, it's laggy, the gear was non-existent. Ugh.
I've got one other question for you, because you played Days Gone, which came out this year, and I didn't hear it on your top 5, I didn't hear it on your honorable mentions, your dishonorable mentions. If you were going to briefly describe the game for me, in terms of like your general thoughts, to summarize it, and give it a solid out of 10 score, so run through that with me, because I was on the fence for this game for a long time.
I don't think I've ever played Days Gone. You must be confusing me with someone else.
Shit, really? I thought that you bought Days Gone.
I was planning, I think I was going to buy Days Gone, but I never did.
Okay. I apologize.
Or wait, is that the PlayStation 4 game?
Yeah, it's the one that came out this year with zombies.
Shit, I did play that game, and I enjoyed it a lot. I totally forgot about it. Okay, I'm going to add Days Gone as an honorable mention. I don't think it would crack the top 5. It might be... No, I really like I made a game with zombies in it. I think it would just stand as an honorable mention. The funnest parts were the hordes of the zombies. I played through the whole campaign.
Yeah.
It's just a typical, you upgrade your guns and you shoot all the zombies. Story is, boring, as all stories in games typically are.
This is going to be the broken record of whenever Sam is on the podcast, he's going to talk about how much all the stories for whatever games are shit.
It was fun. It was fun.
Out of 10, what do you think you would give it?
6.
Okay.
5 is average, and it exceeded my expectations.
Okay. That's good to hear. Honestly, I've got pretty low expectations of it right now myself. So, if you were going to say, what would be the price that you would buy it at? Would it be like $30, $20? If you were going to say, like, you're definitely going to get bang for your buck, what?
$30.
$30?
Half off. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's worth $60. It didn't bring anything new to zombies games. It's kind of just rehashing the old, standbys, shoot all the zombies. The motorcycle aspect was fun, but also kind of glitchy. And I don't have like a PlayStation 4 Pro or anything. I just have, the 6-year-old PlayStation. So there was some ports.
I've got one too.
Where you're driving around on your motorcycle and you crash and burn, and then thousands of zombies spawn in around you that you couldn't see beforehand, and then you die because they eat you to death. Typical,
they do.
But it was fun. Yeah, it was a good game. Totally forgot about that game, which shows you how much it's stuck in my mind.
That 6 is very deserving. It was good, but I immediately forgot about it 3 months later.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe that game.
Mm-hmm. All right. I've got nothing else to really say for the podcast. Cole, I would assume, is going to be here next week, and we're going to be doing the top 5 games of 2019. I'm going to be playing Spider-Man this week. I'm going to finish up with that. And actually, I forgot to mention this before. I did almost finish up Final Fantasy VIII. I'm at the last boss, and I just stopped right before her. But I've got nothing really to report onto that. But I'll probably beat Final Fantasy VIII this week, and I'll beat or I'll continue playing Spider-Man. Sam, what are you going to be playing this week?
Probably more Counter-Strike, more League of Legends. There's actually another Clash tournament this weekend that I'm going to be a part of, probably with Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I might try to. I'm going to play a little bit more Force Unleashed. I don't really have anything else that I'm playing at the moment.
All right, cool. Well, we can end it there then. Thanks
All
for
right.
joining me, Sam.
Yeah, sure.
All right, bye.
Bye.